I Married an Ex-Wise Guy. Our Life, Love, and His Death Together by Celia Sunshine, narrated by Jane Ghazni. Chapter 1. Big Guy Made Her Smile. She got home and went directly to the tiny second bedroom of her apartment that was shared with a small glass-top desk and her laptop. Even though she was weary from drinking too many margaritas the night before and driving home from Rockland for 2.5 hours, she had to get her thoughts down on paper. The playoff game between the Ravens and Steelers was just getting started, but she passed it up in favor of her thoughts. They were important to her, and more important than the football game. This was an unusual thing for her to do. The long drive was one of the few pleasant times she has had in well over a year, or 2, or 3. She smiled all along the way. Smiled so long and so hard her face was hurting. Often she had to shake her head to wake her mind up to the reality of what was going on. She was driving west at 75 miles per hour down Highway 80 on her way back to Tomales, not still in Reno with a tall, handsome, gentle hunk of a man. She kept telling herself to pay attention to the road, or she would miss the Lakeville Highway turnoff. Nevertheless, she could not get her mind off the romantic encounter she just had, and all the things that happened to get her to such an encounter that made her smile. This was number 1 on the list of pleasant memories in the last year, or 2, or 3. All the thoughts swirled and swirled through her memory bank, starting from the day she met a man named Tim. "Hello, Mr. Tipton. It's Celia. I'm a little bit early and will be outside at the valet waiting for you. I will be the one with the gray hair and a silver sun visor." After hanging up, she thought about how much she hated cell phones, but knew they were a necessary evil when trying to make a living in the real estate business. She looked around and wondered what the hell she was doing at the valet parking area at Harrah's, Laughlin, when she would really be at home. First of all, she didn't really have to make a living. Between her husband's Social Security, her PERS retirement, and a few other investments they had made, there was enough to cover all expenses and some left over for fun. Besides, her husband was very ill and would probably not be around much more than a couple of years. She wished she were with him right now. He insisted she keep active, so there she stood waiting for a man she had only met on the telephone. And what a meeting it was. When he did not get a return phone call immediately, he chewed her out royally when they finally talked. Once he found out why his call was returned later than usual, he became a nice, soft-spoken person. Her apprehension grew while waiting. Which person was she going to meet in person? She finally noticed 2 men walking toward her. One man was very tall and robust. The other was average-looking and in stature. "Oh my," was her first thought. The big man extended his hand and introduced himself as Tim, then introduced his buddy Robert. Her mind flashed back to her last boyfriend, Sean, and her crotch started to throb. Sean was a big man too, and Tim had the same confident swagger that she recalled about Sean. She wondered if the throb stemmed from thinking of Sean, how making love with him was great, whether because of her husband having had his prostate removed 3 years earlier due to cancer, and the deed was no longer part of their marital bed, which she missed. Or did this big man named Tim stir a physical reaction in her because she was just flat out horny due to all of the above? She turned away from the 2 men standing there, blinked her eyes over and over to take her mental focus away from sex, and then showed them to her truck. She spent the day driving the 2 men around Valley of Flowers, Arizona, looking at properties. All in all, it was a pleasant day, and a great diversion from her usual tasks of changing oxygen tanks and dispensing medications to her husband. The big guy was the chatty one. His chatter was light, but meaningful. He was great at getting her to talk about herself, without her even realizing it. He sat in the front seat next to her in the driver's seat, and his strong, manly voice continued to stir up her libido. The average guy did not say much at all. She wondered if they were a couple. By the end,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?